Are you tired of the anxiety and stress that's being driven right now through the media, through the coronavirus? Well, I've got good news for you. What I'm going to do here today is give you some real practical skills to help you drive that stress down and get through in a much better, more positive space through everything that we're all going through together as a community right now. My name's Ted Bradley. I'm a quit smoking specialist, and I deal specifically with helping people quit smoking with anxiety, worry, and weight loss. And today in this video, we're going to give you real practical tools to help you have less stress. So the first thing we need to do when we talk about things like stress and anxiety, we need to define it. We need a good definition. This is probably the best definition out there. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, and usually about something imminent or something uncertain. You almost always know when you are starting to experience anxiety because there is this feeling of something just out there that's about to happen. It's imminent. And how do we know when we're starting to drive ourselves down this spiral of anxiety and stress? Is we start to say these two words over and over again. What if? What if this or what if that? What if I go to the supermarket and I get the coronavirus? What if somebody sneezed on the way? What if I touch the door handle? And we just go, what if this? What if? What if? What if? And we keep what ifing. What that means is we are catastrophizing, which means we are assuming the worst. And we all know we do this. We go down this catastrophizing what if spiral that starts to lead to panic attack and stress and anxiety. Okay? Here's the important thing that's really important to understand, because the key to almost all the work I do is to properly frame things. And often when we get stuck and we can't get ourselves out of something, it's because we haven't framed it properly in our mind. So often we just need to reframe. The first thing you need to know is anxiety is not something that happens to you. It's something you do to yourself. Okay? So the couple things you really need to understand is, first of all, anxiety and stress, they're natural. Okay? We all have them. I get stressed. Everybody gets stressed. Okay? Having stress and anxiety is natural. Okay? The other thing is that these things, we often, when we get into these catastrophe spirals, is we assume that it's all anxiety is the same. It's not. Anxiety exists on a continuum from low to high. Okay? Some people, you may know people that they seem like they have no cares in the world, which actually isn't true. They may not just show it to you, but they may be on the lower end. There are people that are on the lower end of anxiety, okay? And then there are people that are on the higher end that have panic attacks and have stress and have anxiety. And things like the coronavirus don't help, right? They shift us up this way, okay? So anxiety exists on a continuum. So what's a realistic goal? Okay, the problem that a lot of times we have is we look at our anxiety issue and we're like, I don't want anxiety. I want it out of me. I want anxiety to be not 1, but we want it to be 0, okay? Impossible. The only way your anxiety is 0 is if you are dead, okay? We all have it at some level inside at some amount of stress or anxiety just by walking. So it's a realistic goal is about, if I have an anxiety and I'm an 8, driving that 8 down to a 3. So let me give you an example. I said to you in this moment right now, as you're in this what if downward spiral, what if, and I'm catastrophizing. If I said to you, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in terms of your stress level or your anxiety right now? And you said, I'm an 8. Well, if I gave you the tool to be able to drive yourself from an 8 down to a 3, is that better? Yes. Is that good? Yes. Is that what we want? Yes. Is it realistic to think it's going to be 0 for the rest of your life? No, that's insane. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. And the whole purpose of this video is to give you a real practical tip and a trick and some hacks, okay? So here's the first thing we need to do. We need to be conscious and we need to catch ourselves in this downward spiral. What that means is when you notice yourself doing, because usually we don't notice right away. But usually after a couple what ifs, we go, oh, wait, that thing that Ted Bradley said, I'm doing that what if, I'm in my spiral down, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to notice. We want to notice. We want to notice and treat. I'll give you the treat in a minute. But when we notice, we want to ask ourselves the question, on a scale of 0 to 10, where am I right now with my anxiety? right? And the reason why we want to notice this, we want to notice the change when we go from an 8 towards a 3. Okay, so how are we going to actually physically do that practically? We're going to use the Grinder model. Okay, I'm not going to go into all the detail about the Grinder model. It basically comes from NLP and neuroscience and psychology. But here's what you need to know. It's basically a way of kind of looking at how our brain and our body deals with anxiety and breaks it into 4 states. And the thing you need to know about the states is that the layer above can impact the layer below. So our breath impacts our physiology explains our state affects our performance. I'm going to explain each and every one of them to you, okay? We're going to start at the bottom, performance. All performance means is how do we actually act in the world? What do we actually physically do? That's our performance. What is our state? Our state is the sum total of all of our internal machinations, our psychology, our emotions, how we are psychologically in the moment, how we are physically, how our health is, the sum total of our state. Okay, that's what state means. It's the sum total of all the internal machinations that's going on inside the system. And the state drives the performance. Okay, your state will drive your performance. Professional athletes know this. That's why they focus so hard on getting the zone, right? It's why they focus so hard on getting in the right frame of mind, to get in the right state to drive athletic performance. Okay, the layer that affects state is our physiology. Okay, so for example, a lot of professional athletes will purposely hold their shoulders back, their head high, because they know their physiology will drive their state, right? You want to feel more positive? Work on your physiology, sit up straighter. Why do you think our grandmothers and our parents always said, sit up straight, okay? Our physiology drives our state, okay? Our state drives our performance. Well, how do we drive our physiology? The best way and the fastest way to drive physiology to be able to change our state and our performance is through our breath. And the reason why that is when we breathe in, okay, our heart rate actually increases. When we exhale, our heart rate actually decreases. If your heart rate is 75 on average, it's probably 80 when you inhale, okay, and it's probably 70 when you exhale, and you average to a 75. Okay, so when we inhale, okay, our heart rate is actually speeding up. It's causing stress, okay? When we exhale, it slows down. It engages our physiology in a more relaxed and calm way. There's a whole lot of science behind it and how it engages it through our parasympathetic system and our sympathetic system. We're not going to go into those details. All you need to know is the way that you drive your performance is you start with your breaths, you change your physiology, you change your state, and that drives our performance. So if our performance is we want to be more relaxed, we know we've got to go out and speak in public, we know we have to do something, and we want to drive our performance. Where do we start? Right here. So here we are. We're what if, we're in our downward spiral. We're going down, 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 right? What do? We become conscious. Okay? So after we become conscious, then what do? We want to go right into our breathing, because that is going to drive everything down into our performance. So here's what I'm going to teach you. Practical tip, 7-11 breathing. Here's all that means, okay? You become conscious of your breathing. So you stop and you think, I'm in my downward spiral. I'm going to be focused on my breathing. Okay, so you start to just take a moment and just notice your breathing. Are you cutting your breath short? It's usually a sign of a panic attack, right? How are you breathing? Slow yourself down and focus on your breath and breathe consciously. Once you've done that, you're now going to breathe with purpose. In through your nose and out through your mouth, okay? We're going to use our breathing to drive our physiology to cause us to become more relaxed by breathing in to a 7 count and breathing out to an 11 count. So you count in your head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and out to 11. It helps if you purse your lips. And you want your out breath to be longer than your in breath. Here's why. When we breathe in, our heart increases. When we breathe out, our heart slows down. So when we breathe out longer, it forces our neurological system to make our system become more calm and relaxed, which is what we want. We're trying to drive ourselves down that continuum. So we're using our breath. So breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth for 5 minutes. Do this when you get up in the morning. Before you go to bed, you will sleep so wonderful. And the whole point of this is to drive ourselves down that continuum. The last thing that I think is really super important for you to understand is that if you really want to get control of your anxiety and your stress and around the coronavirus, it's about becoming more conscious and then using what we know to help drive ourselves down that continuum by starting with our breath, because our breath drives our physiology drives our state drives our performance. Now, those of you that are watching that have done my anxiety and stress program or done my quit smoking program where we deal with smoking and stress, okay, I'm not going to go into those details. They know I give them another 6 tips to do, and here's why you want to know them as best you can, is I've just given you one, okay? But when we notice, okay, remember I said notice and treat? When you notice and treat, so you do the breathing exercise and you drive yourself from an 8 in stress down to a 3, maybe you get to a 5. But then I give you another thing to get you from the 5 to a 4, and then I give you something else to get yourself down to that 3. So please use these tips and tricks to help you drive your stress down. And if you can drive your stress down and you can use all of these tips and tricks to accomplish the goal of either quitting smoking or having less stress in your life or having more of anything you want in your life, that is amazing. Please use all of my content to do that. And you can help me out if you're simply by sharing what I post, by liking it. Come and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love it. Blessings to everyone, and be less stressed.